North Korea is a mysterious, wicked place that people need to know about. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I'm your host Emily, and today we're going to be counting down part 2 of our list of the top 10 terrifying places in North Korea that are pure evil. Number 10. Secret Missile Base. A United States think tank says North Korea has built a secret missile operating base near its border with China that is probably intended to house long-range ballistic missiles. In a new report from 2022, the Center for Strategic and Intentional Studies, aka CSIS, said it had identified the missile operating base by analyzing satellite imagery. The facility is one of approximately 20 ballistic missile operating bases that North Korea has yet to declare, according to the CSIS, and is located in a small isolated wooded mountain valley. The missile operating base will, according to informed sources, likely house a regiment-sized unit equipped with intercontinental ballistic missiles, aka ICBMs. Should operational ICBMs not be available near the term, it is likely that intermediate-range ballistic missiles will be deployed. The Washington-based think tank noted North Korea has test-fired a Hwasong-12 RIBM on January 30th, where the new base is located. Pyongyang has previously said that the Hwasong-12 can carry a nuclear warhead that is capable of reaching the U.S. territory of Guam. CSIS estimates the missile has a range of 2,800 miles. Number 9. Censorship. North Korea ranks among some of the most extreme censorship in the world, with the government able to take strict control over communications. Radio or television sets that can be bought in North Korea are preset to receive only the government frequencies and sealed with a label to prevent tampering with equipment. There are only 3 channels on TV in North Korea, and all the content is controlled by the government. It is a serious criminal offense to manipulate the sets and receive radio or television broadcasts from outside North Korea. Every television is monitored and inspected throughout each year to ensure there are no outside stations being transmitted illegally. In 2015, North Korea's dictator Kim Jong Un ordered the destruction of all cassette tapes and CDs that had state-banned songs in order to contain dissent. Watching American movies or distributing suggestive materials can lead to the death penalty. The government will even randomly cut a power supply to a high-rise apartment and go in there looking for people who have American films playing so they could be punished. Number 8. The streets. A young woman who fled North Korea has revealed the horrific details of her upbringing in the pariah state. Yeonmi Park has said that there are dead bodies everywhere in North Korea. They're on the streets everywhere you go, in the river floating, and that train stations have a lot of dead bodies as well. The bodies are just left there to decay for everyone to see. And when people aren't dead yet, just dying, rats would eat their eyes while they were still alive, and then people who wouldn't know better, who were starving, would eat those rats, and then they would die, and then the rats would eat them. It's a vicious cycle that's disgusting, and nothing is being done about it. Number 7. Fake grocery stores. Yes, this was a plot point in the film The Interview, but it's true. There are stores in North Korea to make it appear like they have food, but citizens really don't eat. Escaped North Koreans reported in September 2010 that starvation had returned to the nation. One report by the Tokyo Shimbun in April 2012 claimed that since the death of Kim Jong-il in December 2011, around 20,000 people had starved to death. Another report by Japanese Asia Press Agency in January 2013 claimed that more than 10,000 people had died of famine. Other international news agencies have begun circulating stories of citizens eating other humans since they were so desperate for food. It's terrible that they had to do that. Everyone should be given the basic right of being given food, and besides eating others, people starve or eat what they can, like grass and insects. One defect told a story that her family received a letter from a family friend that read, "When you read this, all 5 family members will not exist in this world because we haven't eaten for the past 2 weeks," the letter read. "We are lying on the floor together and our bodies are so weak we are ready to die." It's just absolutely horrible that North Koreans are treated this way and nothing is being done about it. Number 6. free speech. All North Koreans who live under Kim Jong Un's rule must swear loyalty and obedience to him, his family, and the state. Anything that could be perceived as an insult to Kim's family, the North Korean government considers blasphemy and you're severely punished. This applies to both immigrants from North Korea and tourists. Anything that can be considered a threat or insult will lead to imprisonment or even execution. Many are also familiar with the case of American citizen student Otto Warmbier, who was visiting North Korea as a part of a guided tour group, arrested at the international airport while awaiting departure from the country after he tried to steal a billboard from his hotel room. Otto was locked in a prison cell and was released in a vegetative state and died soon afterward in June 2017. Number 5. Farms. In 2019, Kim Jong Un commanded every citizen to turn over an impossible 200 pounds of human manure a day for fertilizer in an effort to revitalize the country's struggling agriculture, according to reports. One source says the quota was intentionally unreasonable because the true purpose of the quota was to force the citizens to pay fines and bribes for failure to meet targets. With this demand, it has resulted in citizens stealing feces from each other or digging up soil to mix with feces in an effort to reach the quota. In attempting to fill the quota, citizens have also resorted to violence. A source said people in the city are fighting to take over public restrooms. It's ridiculous. As the amount of manure is nowhere near the quota, there are even now merchants who are selling dried feces. People put their human feces out to dry and it's all over the city. It's really hard to breathe when you go out on the streets, the source said. The use of unprocessed human feces as fertilizer in general is a risky practice as it may contain disease-causing pathogens, which is not good. And not to mention, if the citizens can't even get food, how are they supposed to give the government poop? Ugh. Number 4. Houses. Since the 1940s, visual depictions of Kim Il-sung have been common in North Korea, and displaying a portrait of Kim Il-sung in every house became mandatory in the 1970s. The state distributed such portraits and instructed people to display them in their living rooms. Rules regarding the placement and maintenance of the portraits are complex and change frequently, but at homes they should be placed on the most prominent wall in the living room with nothing else on it, at high and looking downwards. They are the subject of random checks and are to make sure that they are kept clean, a responsibility that usually falls on the lady of the house, who cleans it every morning. Damage to the portraits leads to an investigation, and if the suspect is found guilty, punishment. A penalty of 1 day of hard labor at a construction site is reported for failure to properly hang the portraits. The portraits are also to be protected in the case of an emergency. For example, in 2007, it was reported that a factory worker rescued his leader's portraits and his daughter from a flooded house. When he was overpowered by the water, he let go of his daughter, but managed to hold onto the portraits. Number 3. Kaechon Camp. Kaechon Camp is one of the various camps in North Korea. The prison camp contains many political prisoners, and the prisoners, around 4,000 men and 2,000 women, are political prisoners mixed with common criminals. A prisoner who escaped estimated that during her sentence of 2 years, around 20% of the prisoners died. The prisoners are also used as slave workers who have to fulfill high production quotas in very difficult conditions. For this purpose, there is a shoemaking factory, a leather and rubber factory, a clothing factory, and other factories in the camp. The prisoners are forced to work for around 18 hours per day at the camp's factories. They're also forced to sleep in a room with 80 to 90 people in 30 square meter flea-infested rooms. Prisoners are only occasionally allowed to use the toilet, one for about every 300 people, and many only take a shower after several months. Food rations here are 100 grams of broken corn 3 times a day and salt soup. In case of rule violations, food rations are reduced and prisoners even kill rats and eat them raw in order to survive. There are also 78 punishment cells in the camp, each 24 inches wide and 43 inches high, where prisoners are locked up for several days, and afterwards many of them are unable to walk and some even die. Number 2. Executions. The South Korean-based Database Center for North Korea Human Rights has collected unverified testimony on 1,193 historic executions in North Korea to 2009. Amnesty International reported that there were 105 executions between 2007 and 2012. The Foreign Policy periodical estimated there were 60 executions in 2010. On November 3, 2013, according to an unnamed source familiar with the internal affairs in the North who recently visited the country, at least 80 people were publicly executed for minor offenses. These were said to be carried out simultaneously simultaneously in 7 different North Korean cities for crimes such as watching South Korean movies, distributing, watching, and/or possessing suggestive content, or possessing a Bible. Yeah, a Bible. The source said that according to witnesses, 10,000 residents were forced to watch when 8 people were shot to death at the local Shinpong Stadium. In 2014, the United Nations Human Rights Council created a commission of inquiry on human rights in the DPRK, investigating and documenting alleged instances of executions carried out with or without trial, publicly or secretly, in response to political and other crimes that are often not among the most serious. And coming in at number 1 is Kim Jong Un. Not a place, but Kim Jong Un is so evil, I feel like we need a point just for him. From late 2010, Kim was viewed as the successor to the leadership of North Korea. Following his father's death in December 2011, state television announced Kim as the great successor. Kim holds the titles of WPK General Secretary and President of State Affairs. In July 2012, Kim was promoted to the highest rank of Marshal in the Korean People's Army, consolidating his position as Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces. Kim rules North Korea as a totalitarian dictatorship, and his leadership has followed the same cult of personality. In 2014, a United Nations Human Rights Council report suggested that Kim could be put on trial for crimes against humanity. He has ordered the purge and execution of several North Korean officials, and he has also expanded North Korea's nuclear weapons program, which led to heightened tensions with the United States and South Korea. International Business Times reported Kim to have 17 luxury places around North Korea, a fleet of 100 mostly European luxury cars, a private jet, and a 100-foot yacht. He has all this money, but he can't afford to take care of his people. He doesn't feed them, has incredibly outrageous demands for them, and if you don't follow his rules, you can end up in a prison camp, which is possibly one of the worst places you can be in the world. These people constantly live in fear and survival mode, and it is not fair. Well, that's all for part 2 of our list of the top 10 terrifying places in North Korea that are pure evil. This list was definitely disturbing. Would you ever want to visit North Korea after hearing this? Again, I would not want to step foot there. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to give this video a big thumbs up. I'm your host Emily, and I'll see you next time. Peace.